Harmony of the Seas. Welcome back, my friends. Welcome to Living on the Edge. I'm Alex and I'm about to take you on a tour through what is the most, well, let's say common room or accommodation on board the beautiful Harmony of the Seas. Now, in this video, we'll also talk about everything you pretty much need to do or probably pre-book or pre-arrange to make sure that your vacation on board this ship is as incredible and amazing as possible. So without keeping you further any holding, let's grab something nice to drink, something to snack on, and let's begin the tour. Welcome home to the deluxe ocean view balcony. This is probably the most common room design decor that we have on this ship. And we will of course explore everything it has to offer, storage and everything else. But before that, let's head back towards the door and I will show you of course where we're located. So right here on the map, you can see where the red dot is right here. We are on deck number 9. This is stateroom 9580. So I would say it's kind of forward, but it's very close to the elevators in the forward section of the ship. So it's kind of very convenient, at least for things I like to do. Let me take you around and we'll explore, of course, the storage and everything it has to offer as far as closets for you. So first of all, as you can see, we have the sofa right here, and on both sides of the sofa we have those two doors. Those two doors are your closet in this room. Let's open the first door and see what's behind it. So in this section, this is all hangings section. We have actually an option to extend it, because right here we have this bar that you can drop down, and as you can see we have now basically double space for your hanging stuff. There's also kind of like this hook right here on the wall. The white plastic hangers, I'm not sure if they were left here by the previous guests, but yeah, it looks like there's tons of hangers right here. Now if I will take you to the other side of the sofa and open the other side, this one, by the way, is slightly different. If you can see, we have here the door, but we also have those two drawers underneath. But let's start with the door. When I open this door, we have a hanging section right here. I have my stuff there, don't mind those. But next to it, we have some shelving. So I have 1, 2, well, safe, 3, 4, 5 shelves right there. This is where you will find your safe. This is not big enough, unfortunately, for your laptop. As you can see, my 13-inch laptop is right here, and it does not fit into the safe, but it's definitely enough for your personal items, passports, and stuff of that sort. Right underneath the drawers we spoke about before, those, I think they're great to kind of like, you know, maybe have your shoes there or stuff of that sort. Now, if I will turn you around, right across from your sofa, we have additional storage unit, and this is this unit right here. It has 5 drawers. They're all pretty much the same in size. I will open one of those so you can see. They have your napkins there, some breakfast menus. Additional, so we have 4 of those. And an additional right here, slightly wider. This is also where you will find your hair dryer. Right underneath, we have this door. And this is where you will find your mini fridge. The bottles there are mine pre-ordered. Those fridges come empty, not pre-stocked. Now friends, next to this storage unit, we have a desk. And this desk is really multifunctional. I really like this piece. This is something that really exists on the newer ships of Royal Caribbean. So let me move this chair for you. And you probably saw it before in other videos, but this table desk can be used as a makeup mirror, and use this mirror right here, which is pretty lit, high. But you can also move this desk outside and kind of like move it around the room and, you know, use it for whatever you would like it to be. Maybe you would like to use it next to your sofa or your bed or anywhere else. And by the way, this is also where you will find some charging options right here. We have 2 USB plugs there. We have 3 US plugs, we have 1 European, and this is your, of course, the switch for the mirror. Now let's go towards your bedroom area. This is your bed. It's set, of course, right now to what is called the Royal King, basically two single beds pushed together. And of course, if you don't like to share your bed with whoever you're traveling, you can always ask your room attendant. They will put one of those nightstands in between and separate those two beds. There's very nice headboard. I like this little ladybug right here, very cute. It's of course pre-lit, so you have one light on each side, one here, one right there. The sides of the bed also have charging options, so there is US plug right here, with of course a master switch so you can turn off the lights from your bed. And there's a very narrow nightstand here with some open shelf. Now let me turn you around. Right across the bed we have our one and only TV in this room. I will say this TV is a very decent size. It's about 63 or so inch. Very generous size for the size of this room. It can be slightly turned towards the living space, as you can see. So if I do it this way, you can actually watch your TV from the sofa. That's very nice. And I will mention here that I actually really enjoy the interactive TVs on Royal Caribbean, because on the new ships you can have all this basically extra information. You have the videos on demand, the live TV, the safety information, your account information, stuff like that. I will also mention that this is something I really recommend in those rooms. I actually bring those with me. Those are magnetic hooks. I'm sure you know about those, but they're very convenient for your small stuff if you want to hang it on the wall, because the walls are magnetic or actually metal. So that works pretty well. Now underneath the TV, we have this open shelf right here. It is very narrow, but it's actually very nice if you would like to store maybe a book or a magazine or something of that sort. That's very convenient. Let's walk around towards this side, and this is where you will find your phone. This is actually on this side of the bed. Looks like a fancier option with kind of like a big screen right there. It says Harmony of the Seas. Yeah, very nice. Let's see if there's charging options on the phone. I do not see any USBs or charging options on the phone, and for that reason I will repeat what I said before, but the charging is only optional when you sleep on your right hand side. So there is no charging option on the left side. Just keep it in mind when you bring and want to charge your personal devices at night. Alrighty, time to explore the bathroom. Let's go and head back towards the entrance. This is our door for the bathroom. This is also where we will find a thermostat. It is not a smart one, but pretty easy to work with. Cool, warm, that's about it. Let's open the door. This is our bathroom. Now, of course, we have this countertop right here with a single sink. We have a very big mirror right there. It is very nicely lit. And we have 3 shelves. 1, 2, 3. The top shelf has this charging optional for your shaver, of course. Now, in addition, there is some storage right here underneath. There's additional kind of like this long shelf under your sink. Now let me turn you around and I will show you the shower. This is kind of like a, well, I wouldn't call it walk-in shower, but standalone shower, kind of like a round glass door. I really appreciate that, not having the curtains. Once we open this, it's pretty simple. We have, of course, the handheld option right here. You have your safety bar. We have 1 shelf for your personal items if you bring those. And of course, the all-in-one Salt and Breeze option from Royal Caribbean. If you need, we have 2 of those hooks right here underneath to dry your, perhaps, I don't know, maybe bathing suits or stuff of that sort. And of course, this bar on the bottom if you need to use it for your feet. Now, of course, last but never the least, let's see how the balcony looks like. Let's head towards the bed and open the balcony. Welcome to your balcony. So this is again pretty standard balcony, being this standard balcony room. We have an armchair right here with some extension for your legs if you would like to move it kind of like outside underneath. There's a coffee table next to it, and of course additional similar chair on this side. I will say that the size is actually very decent for, again, being a very standard balcony ocean view room. And by the way, this is my view as of right now. This is still in Galveston, Texas. Well, this is it. This is the balcony ocean view room. I hope you enjoyed that. There is nothing really much to talk about the room specifically because, as you saw, this is kind of, I wouldn't say basic, but this is the most common accommodation you have on board this ship. Few things that I will talk about this room is, first of all, my recommendation for pre-booking well, at least try to pre-book it if you can through your travel agent or directly with the cruise line. The rooms that actually have the sofas closer to the entrance, to the door, and your bed is being pushed back, as you can see, closer to the balcony. The reason I recommend that, and then again, it's not like there's anything wrong with the other variation, but I personally prefer this option because it gives you the feeling of more space in your room when you actually are spending some time in a cabin. You open the door and you have more kind of like floor space to walk around, to hang around. So I personally prefer that. The other thing to know is that with the majority of accommodation on Royal Caribbean nowadays, you do get only one product basically, which is all in one, shower, shampoo, gel, whatever it is. I'm not saying that it's not good, but for my personal taste, this is not my favorite. So I think that I would recommend before you arrive in to make sure that you have something of your personal, perfumery or shower gel or shampoo, something you enjoy from home or something that you like. Again, it's nothing that it's bad, but my personal preference. Another thing that I would recommend is probably trying and asking your room attendant, or even maybe before, if you can talk to the cruise line or your travel agent, and ask for a mattress topper. The reason, and this is a shout out to Royal Caribbean, the ship is actually in great condition, but I will say that from my experience, those 8 nights, the beds are due for renovation or for replacement. So I definitely think that asking for those mattress toppers or something to make your bed more comfortable is actually going to make your sleep and your stay on board the ship much, much more comfortable. Now let's talk about your room attendants on board the Harmony of the Seas. I will share something, and you know that I usually don't share negative experiences, but I boarded the ship and I felt that my room was kind of rushed. And I know that those room attendants trying to do everything possible to make those rooms ready for us, to be ready before 1 p.m., the whole, disembarking and embarkation the same day, it is crazy day for all of them to make rooms ready. I felt when I boarded that my room was not clean to the level I like it. And when my room attendant came to introduce herself, and she asked, of course, if everything is great and wonderful with your room, I apologized and I, kind of felt uncomfortable. But was like, well, you see, unfortunately, like there's some spots that I'm not comfortable with, and if you could find the time, I would really appreciate it if you could, kind of refresh it. And I will say that all that it took to do to make sure that everything is fixed. My 8 days here on board this ship, and in particular this room, this cabin, was outstanding. My room attendant was Chris, and to say that she was incredible and very meticulous about, again, the same cleaning thing that I asked her before, and making sure everything is done on time, and asking me what time I would like my room to be cleaned. The figurines that she made from towel, and actually kept 2 of those just to show you, like, this girl is seriously talented. Look at that. This was one of them. This was another one. She's seriously talented. I'm like, come on, this is incredible. And then she left me duckies on my bed a couple of times. I'm pretty sure she just found them on board from us guys hiding them, and she just left it on bed. She was incredible. So all I'm trying to say in this, if you happen to board a ship or during your stay encountered something that is less than incredible or something that is not to your satisfaction, just be kind about it, address it with your room attendant. I promise this will actually go far, and they will try to make everything possible to make sure you are very, very comfortable. Well, let's talk about dining. I know that many of us actually thinking, should we pre-book those dining packages? And I will say that especially on ships like Oasis class, which Harmony of the Seas is one of them, dining package is actually something that for the most part usually will be really worth it, for me at least. And the reason I'm saying that is because on the Oasis class ships, the amount of specialty dining restaurant is really, really, really generous. This, of course, in addition to the included dining that you have on board, which is, of course, the main dining, the Windjammer, which is the buffet, and, of course, on those ships, you also have an additional restaurant, or deck number 15 or 16, I think, and that's the bistro. So the bistro is also included. Now, speaking about the bistro, I will recommend going online and pre-book, make your reservation for bistro. This doesn't cost you anything, but it will make sure that you have reservation for that restaurant. This is something that will be a little bit more difficult to get on board once you're here. And again, this is included with your fare. There's no extra to that. But if you decided to go with a specialty dining package, I will say that probably my favorite here on board, surprisingly, well, I know it's very, very popular for many, but it's usually not necessarily my favorite restaurant. In this particular case, I think Chop Grill, the steak restaurant, is actually my favorite restaurant on board. I will say that as a huge fan of soups, the mushroom soup on this ship was outstanding. Another night I decided to actually try the lobster bisque. My friends, both of them were very, very different than what I'm usually used from Royal Caribbean other ships. Now, the recipe should be pretty much the same, but I will say here it was much, much better, and I actually addressed it with the crew, with the team. So yeah, the experience there was wonderful. The food was very tasty. I did opted for this. They have an additional menu for you kind of can upgrade your steak. You can do a tomahawk, and you can do. I opted for the fillet, something a little bit more extra. I didn't necessarily feel that it's actually something that was worth for me. I think that the steaks that they have included with your price are actually decent and wonderful, but it's of course up to you. But here I am remembering this meal, and oh my god, I want to eat again. But Chops was incredible on this ship. The Park 150 was really great. I really enjoyed it. Tonight is the last night, and I'm actually doing it again. I'm usually trying to keep restaurants I really enjoy to do for my last night as well, you know, kind of like for the last good taste. So I'm doing the Park 150 again. I really enjoy that restaurant just because you have so many options there. You have things from steak to lamb to fish and duck and lobster and everything in between, and it's a little bit more kind of like upscaled vibe. Small tip, and I'm sure many of you knows, but their martinis that they make there are outstanding. They make a cucumber martini, which is really, really tasty. If you enjoy those, I highly recommend it. And of course, don't forget the cheesecake they have there. Has nothing to do really with the cheesecake, but it's really, really good. The Jamie's Italian this time was not my favorite. It's just not something I would say, enjoy. Again, personal preference, just not my favorite here on board the ship. I did not really try this time the Alice in Wonderland, the Wonderland restaurant, simply because I've been through that experience many times. I didn't feel like it can add something to my, kind of like experience. And it was only 8 nights, so I kind of like didn't have time. So that's the one I actually decided to skip. What else? They also have, of course, the Johnny Rockets. I tried that. Very nice. Johnny Rockets always very, very solid and very consistent on board most of the ships. So that was wonderful. By the way, do not forget, on sea days in Johnny Rockets, there is a free included breakfast, which means that even if you don't have any extra dining package, between 8 and I think it's 10 a.m., you actually can enjoy a free breakfast in Johnny Rockets on deck number 6 back. So yeah, that's a nice perk that included with your fare already. So in general, I will say I really enjoyed the food on board. I didn't try the main dining. I didn't really do the buffet. I did once the other included restaurant on deck number 15 forward. Was not a huge fan. I will say it's more kind of like a Mediterranean cuisine, which I normally really enjoy. It wasn't the best in my opinion, but other options are really great. I really enjoyed having the, for example, the juice bar at the spa on deck number 6 forward. I started every morning with kind of like a healthier option, which was like a carrot and celery and stuff, like juice that freshly made just for you there. And for those of you friends who actually are Diamond members and have the drink vouchers, you can use your vouchers for that. So I use one of my vouchers during the day just for that healthy drink. All right, let's talk about entertainment, because those ships, as you know, has a lot to offer. It's a very big vessel and there's numerous options for you to spend your night, so even during the day, and to watch and experience things. The things I experienced this time, and I want to talk about them, first of all is the ice skating show. Now, unlike other reviews, I don't like to post much of pictures or videos about shows. First, copyright reasons. Second, I want you to experience and be surprised and see the stuff for yourself. If you're really curious, you can always Google those. I'm sure you will find a lot of options. But I will talk about the ice skating show because I will say that I experienced most of the ships on Royal Caribbean and most of the large ships on Royal Caribbean, and I will say this is probably one of the best ice skating shows I saw. I will say that the production is beautiful, there is wonderful music, the talent is very, very nice. I mean, I had nothing but wow during all those minutes, because it's only 40 minutes unfortunately, but it was an incredible show. I would watch it definitely again if I had the time, the opportunity. The show is usually booked, and I will say that I would recommend, even if you made reservations ahead of time, to show probably around, I would say 30-40 minutes before your designated time. So let's say the show starts at 8 o'clock, I would be there at 7:30, or let's say even 7:20. Just if you want to catch the best spots. The best spots, in my opinion, is probably, of course, the central section facing the front. I would probably choose either first or second row. Of course, not with the small kids. They ask for small kids to be row 3, I think, and onwards. But yes, the show is wonderful. It's a great experience. I highly, highly recommend that. Now, another option that everybody knows about the Oasis class ships is, of course, the aqua shows. The aqua shows, like other shows of course on board this vessel, can be pre-booked online, so you can go online, you can make your reservation, you can make sure that you and your family can attend it on the day and time you would like. But that being said, I will say that the show is outstanding. It was a great show. It's one of the better, I think, on Royal Caribbean. There are elements that really, really difference this particular show from others, and when you will see it, and this is especially at the beginning of the show, you will know what I'm talking about. This is really something that makes the show be different, be unique, and this is something you would definitely remember. I will also say that when you go online and trying to pre-book those, there is only one aqua show that you can pre-book. However, and this is a surprise and sort of like unspoken secret, there are actually 2 shows, and the second show usually will appear on the longer cruises, which 8 nights considered to be one of those, and it will be towards the end. So it might even be 1 or maybe 2 last nights. The second option you cannot really pre-book. This is something that first come, first serve on board the ship when you're here, but there are 2 shows on board Harmony. Now, one last tip for if you would like to watch the show from a unique spot. As you know, when you sit in the Aqua Theater, when you look up left or right, there's all those gorgeous Aqua Theater suites that facing the show, and everybody sitting in the middle is like, oh my god, one day I hope I will be in one of those. There is actually a free way to experience kind of similar view. If you will head up to deck number 7 towards the end, one of those balcony, which is basically the lowest one from those Aqua Theater, both on the left and the right side, is just regular balcony accessible to anyone from deck number 6. All you have to do is deck number 6 towards the end, left or right, and that balcony is of course first come, first get the seat, but you definitely get a unique spot to experience the show from. Now, last about the entertainment, let's talk about the productions. Royal Caribbean is really known for their production shows, and of course Harmony is not something to be missed as far as the production shows goes. First of all, there's of course the Broadway show. We have the Greece. And Greece, this is something that repeats itself on different cruise ships. I actually experienced it on a couple of Royal Caribbean ships. But I will say that the cast on board the Harmony of the Seas is just incredible. Those people are, I think that Royal Caribbean is so lucky to be able to cast those people to entertain us on board, because I felt that on Harmony of the Seas, the level of performance was way above something that I experienced on Royal Caribbean on different vessels for the past year. Now, I'll be completely fair, and I have not cruised for the most part the past year on the bigger ships. My cruises were on Independence of the Seas, Adventure of the Seas, a lot of Jewel and stuff like that. So we can't really compare the smaller ships to the bigger ones, because the bigger ones are kind of like the flagship of the company. But I will say that here, the crew and this particular cruise was incredible. I watched the Greece several times. This show felt sometimes so perfect that sometimes I was like, it is too perfect. Is it all recorded? Are they actually singing? And yes, they actually all singing, and of course the music was there. It was incredible. Now, we of course have all our personal taste. We all can think that this actor or that actress or whatever suitable or not suitable for the part. I heard different opinions, but all in all, in general, I think it was a perfect show. I feel it was perfectly executed and wonderful experience. Last show we will talk about is something again that can be pre-booked, and it's called the Columbus musical. Now, this production is actually a Royal Caribbean production, has nothing to do with Broadway, but it's in a Broadway style, I should say. And my friends, I kept this production, this show, for last. Today is the last day of the cruise, and I actually watched the show today. I laughed so hard. It's a wonderful, wonderful show. I know that the name might make me you think, do I really want to watch it? I don't need to watch it. I know the story, blah, blah, you know. Does it have something to do with Columbus? Yes. Is this actually the story of Christopher Columbus? Absolutely not. I really don't want to spoil for you the experience and tell you what it's about, but it was so funny. It was so perfect. It was so incredibly, I felt like your time is just flying on that particular show. It was very query. It was very hilarious. It was very a lot of things. I can tell you that probably this show is kind of like gonna make you raise your brow and say, what am I even watching? What is it? But the bottom line is you're gonna have an incredible time. I don't even know how they came with the idea to make what they did. I don't know what they drank or smoke or whatever, but it was just super, super, super fun. The crew, again, is super talented. They incredibly kind of like devoted and dedicated themselves much more than I'm used to see on board the cruise ships. So thank you very much for the crew of Royal Caribbean on this the ship for making this show, and thank you very much Royal Caribbean for casting those incredible people. Now, to sum it up, things you have to do before: you have to go online and make your reservations ahead of time, just to make sure that you have your show, your theater show or ice skating or anything else at the day and time that works for you. Now friends, those are the main things I chose to dedicate my attention to during those 8 days. There's a lot to do on a ship, and there's tons of things I was not talking about. There's a lot of activities that go on, like bingos and trivias and karaoke and stuff like that, and I'm sure many of you attended those, and I'm pretty sure that 8 nights is definitely not enough to try it all. So there is definitely a lot. If you have any questions, if you have anything you would like particularly to know, I always here open for your questions, and please address those. I will be always happy to kind of like answer and at least find the answer for you. But yeah, bottom line, I will say that the most important things you have to remember with the bigger ships is that planning is probably the key for the success of your vacation. I would highly recommend going online, and this is something that's accessible to any one of you. You're going online, you log into your account, and you can pre-book your dining packages as well as making those dining reservations. If you remember back in the day, you had to board, run right away into one of the specialty dining, trying to make all of your bookings all at once. It was a hassle both for guests and the crew. Now you can actually go online once you book that package and pre-book all of your dining and the timing when you would like. So that's very convenient. Same with, of course, the shows. Again, the shows or any of those are not extra cost. You can definitely go online, you can definitely pre-book them. Now, if you're, of course, a guest suite, which, as you can see behind me, and this time I was not, life is much easier for you. You have your concierge, you can address it with them, and the concierge will be more than happy to do all that for you. But if you're like myself, this time traveling in a regular cabin, then this is something you can definitely do online, so I highly recommend that. So, this was a great 8 nights. This was actually my first time cruising from Galveston, from Texas. Actually, my first time in Texas. Very nice experience. I will say that the terminal in Texas, and this is something I didn't talk before, the terminal is beautiful. I cruised so many times from Miami thinking that the flagship terminal is in Miami. I think that the one here in Galveston is actually much nicer. It was so efficient. Royal Caribbean organized, you can book it with them, of course, transfer it from the airport to the cruise ship. Again, something you have to check with your travel agent or the company directly. But I arrived to the cruise port, I would say around 12:30, something like that. You saw a lot of people, but the whole process of boarding was so quick, so breeze. It was just incredible. I think the port is very, very pretty. I kind of almost wish I had a little bit more time just to spend and explore, but I was too excited to get on board. So yeah, that was a great experience. And I really, really enjoyed those 8 nights. Now, this particular cruise, and you're probably going to hear it from some people, actually had some changes in the itinerary. There is a hurricane going around, so unfortunately Coco Cay was canceled during this cruise. And I know a lot of people felt disappointed because, you know, this is something that they planned and they were hoping to go for, and the destination is wonderful. But I will say this is something that we all have to be kind of prepared for because, of course, safety first. And if you can dock because of the weather, you cannot dock because of the weather. So again, with that idea of pre-preparation, just kind of like keep it in mind that the changes can happen, that itinerary can change, ports can be removed or added, and it's not because somebody just wants to do that, it's because unfortunately they have to do that. And trust me, I actually wait for those port days when I can film the cruise ship for you, because I try not to film the ships with the guest in my frame and stuff like that, you know, to respect other, of course, space. But this happens, so just be ready for that. And if it does happen on your particular itinerary, just be open-minded, and you know that the crew will try to make everything possible to make that day that actually was changed as entertaining, as enjoyable as possible, because this is really what they're here for. So friends, this is it. I hope this was very informative for you. I hope it was helpful. As mentioned before, if you have any questions, suggestions, comments, anything, please comment below. Of course, don't forget to subscribe, like, share those videos so I can keep doing what I like to do most. I'm very excited for my next trip, very excited to share that one with you as well. But until next time, thank you very much for watching. I'm your Hedge.